Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Talent Underground. Today, I'm joined by two very special guests, Arlo and Sami Afuni. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, boys, but they're here to talk about the latest film, Spit. So, Spit brings back Johnny Spiteri, being set 20 years after the cult classic Getting Square. But this time, it tackles a pretty important and timely issue, immigration. The film finds Johnny locked up in a detention center alongside refugees, including Jihad Khalif, played by Arlo Green, and Hayan, played by Sami. While Spit has plenty of humor, it also delivers a powerful message about empathy, displacement, and the experiences of refugees. Arlo, Sami, thanks for joining me. Let's dive straight into this interview. So, Spit features a unique blend of comedy and social commentary. What was your initial reaction the first time that you read the script of the film?
Sami, do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious, to be honest. And actually, the first thing that kind of caught my attention was how was an immigrant story really in it, with especially the character that I play, and how it's a story that you can relate to and something that really sheds a positive light on immigration.
Yeah.
I feel like they balance the humor and the serious really well. I feel like, as Arabs, we're really good at laughing at, hard situations. Because the only way to get through it, like, I don't know about you, but my relatives, like, you'll go through the worst thing in your life and then they just make fun of you for it.
That's how it is, yeah.
It's like, it's such brutal comedy. So I think that that's really honest, to make something so serious, kind of so funny at the same time.
And something else that stood out to me in terms of the seriousness that I found pretty interesting reading about it was the fact that the film features real refugees and descendants of refugees. What was the atmosphere like on the set, given how diverse the cast was and how, I guess, serious a matter like that is?
To be honest, it was really cool, especially having people, that have gone through that. And it's actually their real life story. It really allowed us to tap into the realism of it, and also really learn off of those people and see and see all the fruits of everything that they've been through. And I think they really enjoyed it as well. I think it was a good environment for everybody on set. And I think that shows through the movie.
Yeah, I mean, and both of you guys both come from multicultural backgrounds. How important was it to take on the roles that represent your cultures in a meaningful way, I guess?
I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I'm still figuring it out, like figuring out what it means to me,
In comparison, okay, so like, I guess, how would you compare it to other roles and other films you've done? How important was this one in comparison to your previous work?
Yeah. I guess there feels like there's a bit more pressure, but there's also a bit more support, because the people you find on set, they're familiar faces, you can have your conversations in Arabic and stuff, which is fun. It feels more familiar, but it's like visiting your mom or something. It's like really intense, but it's also uplifting.
Yeah.
You definitely feel the pressure just because there isn't as much Arab representation on screen. You want to make sure you don't do a bad job, otherwise, white people might be like, "Oh, that's a cut." Don't give them a chance again. It feels like sometimes you have to be on your best behavior, but you try and ignore that and just do the job as best you can and be as honest as possible.
For sure. I mean, I'm sure you've done the job justice. You speak on the fact that there's familiar faces on set. This isn't neither one of your first rodeo in terms of working together. You guys have done three, I believe, to exact. What's the dynamic between you two on set? I mean, I heard some playful banter before the interview went live. What's it like with you two?
Sami, you can answer that.
Honestly, it's the best experience ever because I feel like I have my big brother there on set. And Arlo's super talented in everything that he does, and he's very passionate about what he does. And something that's very special about him is he's a giver, and he like really helps everyone around him. And I feel very lucky to have been on 3 productions with him because I feel like he kind of laid everything on a plate for me. And I hope there's more to come as well.
Yeah.
I feel if I could give my flowers to Sami for a second. I've never met such a natural, you know what I mean? He is one of the most natural performers I know, and he's addictive, I just want to be around him all the time, and so does everyone kind of, you know what I mean? Just if you spend some time with this guy, that's it. It's
Yeah.
done. He's your favorite person forever, you know.
I'm trying to get rid of
Um,
Arlo. I'm trying to get Joseph now. Let's do me and Joseph.
We'll do a film together, man. All right, I want to talk to you, Arlo, for a second about something that you said, I guess, in promotion to the film. You said, hopefully through the film, people will have more conversations. The story will awaken empathy in them for refugees. How important was it in conveying this sort of character, especially, I guess, like I mentioned before, in comparison to some of your previous works?
yeah, I guess it was really important just because you know, refugees get othered a lot, and people either want them to assimilate or they don't understand their culture, and so you know they become very impatient or judgmental and stuff. And actually, the language barrier is the biggest part, right? Like, you don't realize like people from other cultures are funny. You don't realize people from other culture, you know, have jokes. People from other cultures like gossip. They just talk about really like, you know, everyday things. Like we all are actually the same. It's just we don't
Yeah,
sound the same to each other. And so in a film, films are so beautiful because you get to spend time with someone and get to know them. And so really the audience gets to know these refugees and spend time with them and relate them back to people in their own life or relate to them. And it just brings down that barrier, you know. It's like that weird kid in high school that you're like, oh, what's wrong with him? But then you hang out with him and you're like, actually, oh, this guy's amazing. I really like him. We should hang out sometime. It's just,
yeah,
yeah, it's just proximity and time. Spending
for
time with
sure.
these stories helps.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like on a set like that with such a diverse cast, you would have learnt a lot. You would have definitely grown as a person. I feel even matured just hanging around people with such intense stories and such a diverse audience.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely like even one of the guys in the film, Valon, him telling us about his story of escape and stuff and
Yeah.
losing his brother and yeah, and being out to sea and stuff and it just sort of humbles you and like you're like, what am I complaining about? Like, oh my God, like I have nothing wrong in
Yeah,
life. Like it is so hard right now. And yeah, I'm very, very privileged, you know, like because even like I think sometimes even the brown experience or the Arab experience, we just think it's the same, but even then there's like different experiences in that. And I can't relate to every other Arab, you know, because some of them would go through way worse than I've ever been through. And
yeah.
so it's my job to understand and yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean that leads me perfectly to my next question, I suppose. I was just going to ask you guys, do you guys have the most memorable experience whilst being on set and filming the film?
Sammy, you wanna?
I'd say going to when we filmed in the detention center, like with all the refugees that were there, and even the extras that came in, and they've been through those experiences. Just seeing how much they enjoyed it. It was a really fun set, and it allowed everyone to really thrive and have a good time. And it felt like a little family there for a couple of days. We just we ate together, we filmed together, we were around each other at all times. So I think for me, that was my favorite part. Arlo, what about yours?
Yeah, probably the same experience, you know, like
Yeah.
some of the guys like showed us their music and stuff that they've made back home and it was just really, really cool. I felt really lucky, you know. Yeah.
I mean, it definitely would have been a special experience. So the film's obviously been out for a couple of weeks now. There's a huge message behind it. Do you guys feel like, with it being out for only a short amount of time so far, what's the audience response been like so far? Has it been what you've expected?
It's been better than I expected, to be honest. It's been really good responses, and something we've been getting is that people are saying that it feels like a classic comedy.
Nice. Yeah.
And, even it feels cool to be involved in that and have an Arab story there, and especially with how powerful Arlo's character is in the movie. I'd recommend anybody from our community to watch it to really see that story, and feels really cool to have that associated with that. So Chris, the writer, actually, he spoke about this being, a story that celebrates immigration in a sense, and we're all immigrants in this country, really. And Chris said it himself, So it's cool to really like tie in cultures and really bring in the essence of like mateship and all that stuff. Yeah, I think it really shines through the movie.
Yeah, well, look, Arlo, Sami, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking about the film, and I believe it's such an important film, especially with some of the themes, and also just kind of intertwining it with in a comedy sort of way. I mean, it seems like the reception's been pretty beautiful as to this point. For those watching, Spit is now playing in cinemas across Australia, so don't miss it. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to leave a like on this, all that sort of stuff. I've been Joseph Sayun. That's been Arlo Green. That's been Sami Afuni. This has been Talent Underground. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to catch you.